And with us right now, we've got Taylor Kovar. Taylor, you're the CEO of Kovar Wealth Management and the CEO of Premier Pediatric Therapy. Also, I'm a fan of gofarwithkovar.com. If nothing else, for the name, which you and I were joking, you're set for a political campaign.
I am. Yeah, that's my plan. Anytime I'm ready to run for president, it's already there. So, yeah.
So give me kind of a backstory on how you got into both pediatric therapy and also wealth management.
Yeah. So I grew up, my parents were blue collar workers, never really had more than a few dollars between them, gave away everything to charity that they did get. But my dad was really, stressed on us that, hey, if you want to do something, it's going to be up to you. It's going to be through hard work and really putting your mind to it. And so, I was at 18, I jumped into debt trying to impress a girl. It worked for a little bit until I couldn't afford rent one month. And I was asking her, hey, I could borrow some money. And she was like, hey, listen, if you think you're going to marry me, you're probably going to have to figure out money. And so my parents obviously knew nothing about money. So I went and interviewed a bunch of people, read all the books I get my hands on, went to college, worked my way through college, get my finance degree, and luckily graduated when the market collapsed in 2008. And so nobody was hiring finance people. And so my brother and I started he had already been building a healthcare software company. I joined it and took over operations. And so I consulted with pediatric therapy agencies all across the country for several years. Ended up selling out of it and joining a very large wealth management firm, thinking I wanted to get back into investments and help people like my parents, manage their money and build up a nest egg. And so realized that the way they did things wasn't the way I wanted to do things. So I left and started Kovar Wealth Management. And that's been about 5 years ago. And so we do a lot. We're a boutique firm. And then we do our best just to help anybody we can. It's really what we do. And through that, we really want to hone in on a few certain niches that we do well with. And then a bunch of our clients are in the healthcare space, and they're interested in alternative investments. And so I was still doing brokerage and consulting for healthcare companies. We found Premier Pediatric Therapy and decided to buy it and acquire it in 2017. And we took over, and they had about 100 patients then. It was a home health pediatric therapy company just based out of Houston. Since then, we have over 1,000 patients all across the state of Texas, and have plans to move into a couple of more states this year. So, and through Kovar Wealth Management and Premier, we've opened up an insurance company to kind of better serve the needs of our clients and the patients and their families. We have opened up a actual consulting firm in order to help our clients and a few other businesses. I was being asked to speak and write on personal finance and just business in general. And so I write an article for newspapers kind of across the country, and then realized, hey, I need a website that this all kind of pulls back to, right? The things that I'm passionate about. And so created Go Far with Kovar as kind of a way just as a resource of the things that I'm passionate about, which is, family and business and obviously personal finance. So, yeah.
So how does someone who doesn't really have a background in pediatric therapy say, okay, I'm going to go be the CEO? What went into that decision-making process? I mean, obviously, it's probably a good opportunity, but, without a background in that, were you worried like, what do I know about this?
It has been a crazy ride. I was on the software side of things with pediatric therapy. So from the outside looking in, I thought I knew what I was doing. And when I got into it, I actually had a business partner that was going to run the business. And so I was just going to be more silent partner, right? And bring some other expertise. So that partnership didn't work out. And so somebody had to fill the shoes of CEO. And so I jumped in with both feet, and, there was a lot of trial and error, but, luckily we've been blessed. So.
Wow. No kidding. Now, how did you get connected with them and you saw that there was an opportunity for you to step in?
Yeah. So just being involved, I stayed involved in the healthcare, atmosphere, and I was still doing consulting for some companies and also brokerage. And so this company, I heard, hey, they're looking to be put on the market to sell, someone wanted to sell their business. And we went to look at it as somebody to broker the sale of it, and realized, hey, this could be a really good fit for, some of our investors, and the rest is kind of history.
So Kovar's Wealth Management has done very well, and in how many years now?
5.
So 5 years.
Yep.
You guys have done some pretty great business. So what would you attribute that to?
Honestly, it's everybody can say hard work, but really it's really trying to figure out. I'm not afraid to try new things, and that's a big. I tell people, hey, listen, we're not corporate, right? So I'm not a Merrill Lynch or a Morgan Stanley or an Edward Jones. If I try to compete with them the way they do things, we're going to lose, right? We don't have hundreds of millions of dollars to put toward advertising. So if I'm doing the same things the way they do them, we're going to lose. And so when I started, I just said, hey, I've got to do something different, right? And I think that's really been the key to all of it, is just not being scared to say, hey, just because that's the way it's always been done doesn't mean it's the right way. And so that's really created a lot of success for us, just in the way we do business.
Yeah. And how does one go about meeting Paris Hilton?
You saw that. We were in Vegas, and she was there, and I was with a group, and they were like, I think that's Paris Hilton. And I obviously knew who she was, but didn't, I wouldn't have recognized her.
Right.
And they were like, man, I bet that's her. And I was like, well, just go say hi. And the people I was with were kind of scared to go do it. And I said, well, I'll go, right? I'm not scared to go say hi to somebody.
Right.
And, so I just went, I was like, hey, Paris Hilton. Yeah, I am. Awesome. Hey, so, I was like, my friends thought so. I said hi and walked off. And I went back to the table, and they were like, you didn't even try to get a picture with her? I was like, oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. Let's go back and chat with her again. Yeah, she was nice. Probably thought I was a creeper, which, in hindsight probably was, but it was a fun experience. So.
Yeah. So who was your first hire with Kovar Wealth?
So I brought in one of my buddies is in the oil and gas field, or was for a long time. And being in Texas and dealing with alternatives, we had a lot of people that were interested in the energy sector. And so he came on and joined me as really overseeing that part of the business. And so he took a lot of that side of things off my plate. And we have a really large energy sector that we deal with. And he's done really great with it. And so he was the first hire there. And then after we picked up Premier, I hired a girl fresh out of college named Claudia, and she has been phenomenal. So she does a lot of our investment management and client relationships. She's awesome. She's really the backbone of what we do day to day. So been a huge help, and we've added another advisor, and just this year we added a kind of community liaison, public relations person as well, who's really jumped in with both feet and been a big asset. Yeah.
So obviously you do a lot of personal finance education as well on your blog, your personal blog and website. Again, when we're recording this, it's beginning of May. What are you generally advising audiences in terms of, kind of riding out the storm that we're in financially?
Yeah. It's tough because no one knows what's going to happen. We don't know what 6 months from now is going to look like. We don't even know what tomorrow is going to look like, with their personal finances and with the stock market. We have 30 million people on unemployment now, and that all happened in the last few weeks. And so what I've told everybody, almost regardless of what situation they're in, is to, hey, just kind of circle the wagons. Let's be smart, right? So if you don't need to spend extra money, don't, right? Buffett always says cash is king. He's sitting on, $150 billion. And so, I think now is the perfect time to say that, hey, let's go ahead and, get rid of some of those excesses. Call your credit card and ask for a lower interest rate, or if you can delay payments, or, really just kind of thinking outside the box of how you can limit those expenses, because we don't know what tomorrow holds. So,
yeah, right. So just basically kind of concentrate on your, keeping a healthy balance, whether that, I guess if you were kind of going back to having the 3-month cushion in your accounts, of liquid assets ready to kind of use from, this would be perfect time for that. What about investments?
Yeah. So, I say that kind of circling the wagons and grabbing, gathering cash is because on the investing side, it's an amazing time to be an investor. The stock market's going crazy. And so we've seen some really good buying opportunities lately. I think we're going to see even more in the coming months. But also on the alternatives with real estate, with oil and gas, with boats or yachts or, anything really. I think you're going to see amazing opportunities to pick up deals. I think, in the vacation rental area, Airbnb owners, you're going to see some great opportunities over the coming months as kind of foreclosures come up. To acquire some great properties, if that's something you're interested in. And so I'm a fan of gathering cash to be able to pounce on opportunities.
Yeah. So would you generally, again, where nobody knows, right? But I mean, oil is at a low, right, that we've not seen. And for someone who's not really paying attention, what's going on in oil right now, and what do you expect will happen?
Yeah, there's, oil got decimated when all this, it was a, perfect storm of things happening all there in February and early March, which has really put a hurt on things. I think we're going to be hurt for a while because people aren't going to be traveling as much. Cruise ships aren't going, airplanes aren't flying as much. People aren't driving as much. And so I think we're in for a longer road with oil. I think long-term, you're going to see some of the premier players, the ones who are doing business without being super, super leveraged and who I think they're going to come out really well. So that's, those are the ones we're looking at. And I think long-term, we're going to be in a good spot. So, yeah. Good.
So in terms of leading during this time, I would imagine, with pediatric care, you have had to make some adjustments, I would imagine. Because you do mainly pediatric therapy. So it looks like you do play therapy and a lot of other physical therapy, speech therapy, and those might be considered kind of unessential. I don't know.
Yeah. And so with that, we, our business is home health. So we actually send, a therapist into the patient's home. Well, most parents who say, hey, my kid can go a few weeks possibly without therapy. Yeah. Put everybody on hold because, they didn't want a therapist who was going to other people's homes, coming into their home and potentially, infecting their child. And so, right after coronavirus hit, we ended up seeing like a 70% decline in business. And so, as a business from the very beginning, we knew that we wanted to be able to work remotely as much as possible. So we already had our phone systems all working through the internet. All of our employees had laptops instead of desktops. Great. And so it was fairly easy for our office staff to quickly transition to working from home. But as business owners, we had to sit and say, okay, what does this look like? Right? If we're down 70% this week, is it going to be 90% next week, or is it still going to be 70% a month from now, or what can we do? And so we really had to pivot as a company to say, one, how can we help our patients and employees during this time? But also, what do we do as a business? So we started circling those wagons. We cut a lot of our extra expenditures that we were going to do, and reshifted our priorities. And luckily, we're a month and a half into this, and even though we're still down, we're only down 5 to 10% instead of 70%. And, I value that based upon those pivots that we had to make of, hey, change was happening. And when most of our competitors were either shutting down, saying, hey, we're not going to do anything at all. We're just going to give it a few weeks. We said, hey, listen, if your kid wants therapy and we have a therapist that wants to work, we're going to do it. And we really focus a lot on digital advertising and digital communication. And so we've been very fortunate.
Yeah. What do you expect in terms of, back over to the Kovar Wealth Management? Sorry, I seem to be bebopping around a lot with you, but you do many things. So
I do, yes. Yeah.
Trying to follow my curiosity here.
No, you're good.
So for Kovar Wealth Management, what does a wealth management firm do to attract new clients typically?
Yeah. So traditionally, you'll hear most people say, it's all referrals, it's word of mouth. We grow by referrals. And though that's true, you want your clients to be evangelists for you out there, praising, and you think that they are, right? You like to say that, it's most just aren't, right? Most, as you'll see, most people, they'll tell you about a bad experience, but not so much a great experience all the time. And so for us, it's really, we take very much more of a sniper approach where we say, hey, listen, here's our ideal client. Here's who the type of people we want to work with, right? And we have it wrote out on our wall of, this is exactly, if we had to draw the picture of somebody, this is who we want to work with. And usually they have the same values as we do, and the same, similar goals. And then we find people that match that. And basically we go after them. So we make, introductions or find people that we have in relation with, and we find those introductions. And then we just try to do a very good job of, we don't try to come across as salesy, because that's, honestly, I'm a horrible salesman, and I'm the first to admit it. I'm not a good salesman. I talk people out of working with us more often than not, just because, like, hey, it's really not, if you're just looking for somebody to manage your money, I can teach you how to do that, right? Let me teach you how to do that, and then just save your money. And so, but that's what we do. Is it's very much more, we have some digital approach, but a lot of it is, we try to find people that we think would be a good fit with our program. So.
Yeah. Which, I think actually makes you a much better salesperson, just simply because that's, consumers, I think they've never been more savvy. So, it's a lot of time it's, we're going to do a lot more due diligence as consumers, and we don't want to be sold to. So when someone starts selling to us, I think many of us kind of recoil from that. And say, look, I'm pretty smart. I know what I want. I know what I need. Just educate me. And that's really what so I think you're well positioned for where consumers want to be. And so what would you imagine the kind of the future, or the next, kind of 6 to 12 months for Kovar Wealth Management looking like?
Yeah. I see a lot of growth in store. We've had an uptick in, just inbound communication from prospects and new people over the last couple of months. And I think a lot of it is,
you're not relying on foot traffic walking up and down Main Street, right?
No, not at all. Yeah. And so most of our clients in our hometown, we live in a pretty small town. And so most of our clients are not even in our hometown. But just based on what we do, is really, we're set up great for this type of environment. We do the stock market, which I think, obviously we're a wealth management firm, we have to, but people are looking for those alternatives, something they can put their hands on, in this time when you don't know what tomorrow holds. It's nice to be able to go out and walk through your 150 acre timber plantation, right? You can see your dollars in the ground. And so that's been a really nice way that we're set up. I think for us, there's tremendous growth over the next several months. I'm not saying we predicted coronavirus, but we were watching pretty well, and made really good adjustments in February for the vast majority of our accounts. And so we came out of this, I don't want to say, unscathed. I mean, everybody, took a hit at some degree. But we were luckily positioned very well moving into it, with a lot of cash on hand. And so we were able to make a lot of good buys in, mid to late March. So
it's great. All right. Well, Taylor Kovar, one thing that you have as well, if you go to gofarwithkovar.com, and that's Kovar, you offer a financial cure 14-day course that the folks, that's, it's actually, you have a pretty good blog here. A lot of great content, a lot of great articles, talk about PPP and SBA relief, and your take on the fire movement and that sort of thing. So that's great. Well, excellent. Well, Taylor Kovar, again, thank you so much. Again, Kovar Wealth, and that's at Kovar wealth.com. And, folks live in your town, get connected with Premier Pediatric Therapy as well.
Awesome.
So great. Taylor, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you, Josh.